Grab your drinks and preheat your ovens. I'm gone. It's time for Chuckin Muffins.
What's with the mask today, Eddie? What was with that?
So today's a very special Halloween edition of Chuckin Muffins because Halloween's on Saturday. This is being released on Thursday, right? Yeah.
Today Wednesday? Yes, Thursday.
So, speaking of Halloween and scary things, Alex Galchenyuk signs a deal with the Ottawa Senators. Poor kid. He goes from being third overall pick, and he had I think it was a 40-goal season, 30-goal season with the Sens.
30 goal season with the Canadians.
Yeah,
Back in
Canadians.
17-16, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and now he just signed a 1-year deal, I believe 1 year. Yeah, with the Senators. Another depth move by the Senators, I guess.
It's really not a bad bet by the Senators. They're getting a former 30-goal scorer for $1 million. Sure, he hasn't been that 30-goal scorer in a couple years. He has had injuries that have derailed him along the way. I think he could bounce back if they play him in the top six. I think he can pop. I don't think he'll score 30. He can maybe score 20, 40, not 40, 20, 20 goals, 40 points, 50 points around that area. He could be a decent top six option. I don't think he'll get back to the 30 goals, though. But great pick of Ottawa, though.
Honestly, just looking at their depth chart, yeah, he probably will be in the top six picture.
Mm-hmm. Ottawa, they've improved a lot. I really think they have. Based off where they were at the end of last season to where they'd be now, I think they're pretty good. Like, they're not obviously not going to make the playoffs, but it's definitely an improvement from what they were last season. And they're also rumored to be interested in Corey Perry, so that'd be another great pickup for them too.
Get some veteran like player. They that was a babble. Yeah, I mean, to be fair though, like, what's the point of getting Perry? Because if you think about it, don't they want to like go for like a younger core so they could develop into like a better team?
Yeah, but maybe one of the players aren't ready. They can throw Perry on the third line. Perry could play top line, second line, third line, even fourth line on Senators. Like, he'd fit in any role there. And even if it doesn't work out, you can just flip with the deadline because someone's going to want Corey Perry. Like, no team's going to be like, they don't want Corey Perry. He's not going to be expensive. It's going to be like 1 year, $700K, if I were to guess. So it'll be a cheap deal if he goes to the Sens, and he's not going to play in the playoffs. So, and that's where he really shined last season with Dallas. So I don't know. Maybe he won't play as good as in Dallas. I think he wouldn't. But even if they do pick him up, I think it'd still be a great pickup for them.
Yeah.
Decent. Sticking with the Senators, they also re-signed Chris Tierney to a 2-year, $3.5 million contract. What are your initial thoughts on that one?
I mean, fine. Obviously, they could afford everything at this point. Mm-hmm. Tierney's like one of their top guys because they don't have guys.
Basically. Ideally, on a playoff contender, Tierney's a perfect third-line center. Perfect.
Yeah.
No,
I remember when he was with the Sharks.
Yep, he was phenomenal. He was on a team who went to the Cup finals. He was third-line center. He was great. He was a great piece.
He was on the Sharks, and you were like a dog. You just wouldn't stop humping his leg. And I was like, why are you humping his leg? And you go, because he just does his job so well. And I thought about it.
He's a good boy.
You're kind of right. He does do his job really well. You're right.
He's just a great role player. Like, you know what you're going to get out of Tierney. He's probably playing a little more than he should right now in Ottawa. He's probably getting top 6 minutes. Maybe move him down to the third line, throw Galchenyuk up, give him a chance. But I think Tierney's a great signing for them. It's a little pricey, but Ottawa, they can afford anything. So it's really not a big deal for them.
I don't see them getting out of this hole that they're in the next 2 years. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, they're chilling.
So, solid contract for them. Sticking with teams in the bottom of the league, Detroit, the arbitrator awarded Tyler Bertuzzi a 1 year, $3.5 million deal. What are your thoughts on that contract and how he does with Detroit next season?
Well, he was already like a big help for Detroit, you know, and
he put in the top line. It was him, Larkin,
exactly.
And
Mantha. This deal would be bad if it took him to UFA, but it doesn't. It takes him to RFA. It's 3.5 as for someone who plays on your top line. Then
it's not bad.
Yeah, fine,
especially with Detroit. Detroit could have ate whatever. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised they didn't just lock him up long term. Like, you got the cap space. If they don't see him as like a piece of the future, Like, is that what they're kind of like alluding to with that? Like, that would surprise me, right?
That would surprise me as well. I mean, granted, Detroit had probably one of the worst years in NHL history, like
Yeah,
in terms
maybe
of like
he
the
could have
record.
wanted like maybe like even like 6 mil, 7 mil on like a 6, 8 year deal, 6, 7, 8 year
Yeah,
deal,
yeah,
something like
yeah. And they were
that.
probably like, yeah, we don't really want to give you that. Like,
Maybe what they might be thinking, they got guys coming up. They got Zadina coming up. They got Valeno coming up. So maybe one of those guys, or I could see Zadina replacing Bertuzzi on that top line. So maybe we could see a drop in his production because he's not playing with quality players like Larkin and Manta. Because if you think about it, who's the second line center on that team?
the second line center on the Red Wings.
Yep. I'll answer the question.
Pretty
It's
sure.
Valtteri Fipula. That's who the second line center is.
I was gonna say it's either Nielsen or Filppula.
Yeah, one of the two. Yeah, it's not the quality that you're going to be playing with Larkin and Manta. Playing with Nielsen or Fipula and like Fabry, whoever else is on that line.
Yeah, no,
So
you know what they might do? They might just hope that Bertuzzi just like has another like year, like the one he had, and maybe get dump him at the deadline
they
next
could.
season.
He's
Maybe
young
get
too.
some
He'd get a
valuable for
haul
him.
if he. But I don't
That's
know.
what
I'm
I'm saying.
really surprised they wouldn't want to keep him around there. Like, why not give him a 6, 7, 8 year deal at like 6 mil? Like, I think he's worked out on a long term deal. I think there's still growth there.
Yeah, or they could just be like saying like, "Listen, we will give you the money if you could do this again next season."
Yeah,
And then
maybe
if he
it's like,
does,
he's only done it over. I think he's been pretty good for like 2 years now. So maybe another year they'll be like, all right, you're legit now. Then they'll give him that long term deal. But I think he's gonna stick around long term. Another arbitrator deal, Sam Reinhart. If I'm almost not mistaken, Reinhart got awarded that by the arbitrator. If not, my mistake. But regardless, it was a 1 year, $5.2 million contract. Just looking at it, it looks a little high, the cap hit, honestly. But it's only a 1 year deal, so it's not that big of a deal. What do you think?
I wouldn't say that's high. That's actually he's kind of worth the money. I feel like
I
he put
wouldn't
up.
say it's high. It's more than I expected. I'll go with that.
Okay, fair enough. He had 50 points in 69 games. He
Playing with Jack Eichel. We
playing with
make
Jack
that clear.
Eichel, yeah, for real. He well, yeah, that's obviously why he's putting up those numbers.
Mm-hmm.
But now you gotta think with again, this deal also takes him to RFA. He's not gonna be in
Okay.
the market by the end of his deal. You have to think first lines looking like Eichel, Hall, and Reinhardt potentially.
Yeah, I'd say so, unless Skinner finds his way back on that line, which I seem unlikely. But dude, that top six in Buffalo, that's a legit top six. Eichel, Olafson's in there, Stahl's in there too, Reinhardt's in there, Hall's in there, and they got some pieces coming up. Cousins, Middlestat, like that's a solid team. Like honestly, Buffalo, they have like in 3 years, Buffalo, if they keep everything going and keep moving forward and progressing, they can be a playoff contender, like a serious playoff contender.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking like if Eichel, Hall, and Reinhardt is the line that we're gonna see this year, like predominantly,
I think that'd be the one.
5.2 is gonna be pretty low compared to what he's gonna be paid
I can
because he
see
might
that.
his numbers might get really high this year.
Playing on that top line this year could be the best thing that could ever happen to Sam Reinhart. Because we've seen in the past, I know there's a new GM there, but Buffalo's they've given out long-term deals just based off 1 year production. Look at Jeff Skinner. $9 million, had 140-goal year. Look what happened. Didn't even score 20 the next season. So Buffalo's got to be careful with that because if Reinhardt explodes for like 65, 70 plus points, and if they pay him like $8 million, that's going to be steep.
Reinhardt's been really good for years since.
No, he
2015.
has, but Sam Reinhardt's
plus.
not an $8 million player.
No.
Sam Reinhardt's a great second fringe first liner at this point in his career right now. He could prove us wrong and go out and really become a dominant forward. I find that unlikely. He's more of a fringe
if that
second
happens,
first guy.
We should have him on the podcast just so he can tell us go fuck ourselves.
If he wants to come on the podcast, that's a big if here.
Sam,
I know you're
Offers
watching.
open,
I know
buddy.
you're watching, Sam. Sam.
Twitter DMs are open, buddy.
TMs are always open. That goes for any NHL player too. Any NHL agent, coach, anyone. If you want to be on the podcast, shoot us a DM. We will answer.
Yikes.
All right. Sticking. Oh, I forgot someone else signed in Ottawa. Dang it. Okay. Back to Ottawa. Connor Brown signs a 3 year, $3.6 million deal. decent contract for him. Solid second, third liner. 3.6 isn't too bad. So he'll probably be on the top line with Ottawa, honestly. Former 30 goal scorer. So what do you think about that?
I mean, again, it's literally the same situation for pretty much any player with Ottawa right now. They could afford
Basically,
it.
they can afford
They
it.
want him.
It's not going to hurt them. It'll help them to help the top nine, help the power play, even the penalty kill. He's a decent player. Connor Brown. He's like
He's
the
only
most
age 26
average player.
too, so
Probably the most average player in the NHL, Connor Brown.
I hope he doesn't hear you say that.
If he wants to come on the podcast
Kill
and
you.
argue with me, be my guest.
For real. He put up 43 points in 71 games. That's actually pretty good.
That's not bad. He's like you said, he scored 20 goals with the Leafs a couple of seasons ago. So solid player. As we continue to bounce around, as I forgot someone on Buffalo, Linus Ullmark.
Atta boy.
It's a 1 year, $2.6 million contract. Solid contract for them. He's probably going to be the starter. Ever since Carter Hutton joined Buffalo, he's been a train wreck.
He's not been Carter Hutton anymore.
Then again,
Definitely
Carter
has not
Hutton
been
was
Carter
only
Hart.
no, not Carter Hart. He'll probably play, I don't know, more than half the games. He'll be decent. He won't be spectacular. Ullmark.
Okay, yeah.
Not Hutton. Hutton's garbage. He's start of the future there, so hopefully he can earn himself a nice big contract once that one's over. Who are we gonna get to next? Let's go over to the Colorado Avalanche. So a couple weeks ago, maybe honestly a month ago, they traded 2 seconds for Islanders defenseman Devon Taves, and they've finally signed him to a 4-year, $4.1 deal. What are your thoughts on that contract?
I don't know, because I feel like if I comment on Devon Taves, I'm going to sound biased. But then again, to be fair, I never really watched him play because, to be fair, he was on the Islanders, so nobody watched him play.
Do you want to continue, or do you want me to talk about Taves and actually?
Taves, he's all right. I mean, he's a top 4 option. So, I mean,
honestly, I think it's a great pickup for the Avalanche, honestly. I feel like he rounds out that top 4 perfectly. Top pair is going to be McCarr, Graves. Second pair, Gerard, and Taves.
I'm saying it was a good pickup.
A great pickup. And Taves has room to grow, too. I don't think
top 4.
I don't think it's bad, honestly.
It could be worse. That's
but
what
who becomes expendable now
worse.
on the blue line? Eric Johnson. He's the guy that becomes expendable for them. I know he's making $6 million. I don't know for how much longer. I think it's probably 2 to 3 years.
3 years.
3 years. That's an expendable deal now. Like, you got to look at how old is he? 31, 32 now? He's on your third pair now.
32.
Like, we could be looking at that contract. Like, could be like, damn, like a couple of years, like maybe a year, even another year from now on. Like, that could be a rough contract for them. They can't get rid of that now. Especially with picking up Taves.
Yeah.
And Eric Johnson's not bad. Like, he's not a bad defender. He's just not what it used to be. And there's better players than him in that organization now, especially on the right side. So,
want to hear something shocking? Well, I think you know this, but a lot of people don't know this. Eric Johnson was actually taken first overall in his draft class.
Yeah, the St. Louis Blues.
A lot of people don't know
many,
that.
Many years ago. Yeah, crazy. First overall pick. Everyone forgot that. So, yeah, good fact by Eddie. You did good. Let's move on.
Don't patronize me.
Let's go to the Western Conference champions now, the Dallas Stars. So they signed pretty good young goal scorer, Denis Gurianov, to a pretty cheap contract, 2 years, $2.55 million. What do you think of that deal?
Great.
I agree.
It bridges him over till he's an RFA in 2023.
Not bad.
He's got so much room to grow. I think that's
his.
Those 2 years are his time to say, like, in his Russian accent, like, hey, I'm worth the money. Like, I think he's gonna, based on what we saw in the playoffs specifically. Like, I feel like he's got such a high ceiling.
No, he does. He really does.
So I'm not sure, like, what his contract looks like by the time he gets to RFA, but he's only 23, and he's already putting up solid numbers. So, great deal. It's a good short deal.
Oh,
Exactly
I
what the
agree
Stars
completely.
should have done.
If he keeps like what he's doing and everything, the track he's going on now, this kid could be a perennial 30, 35 goal scorer in a couple years, honestly. I don't see that out of the question. Just a guy that's going to go out, score 30 goals, 60 points, kind of like a Brendan Gallagher-esque type player. Not the way he plays, but like the production-wise. Just a consistent 30 goal scorer. I think he can blossom into that, kind of take over the reins when Jamie Benn and Sagan get up there. Him, Hintz, Dickinson, they get like Dallas. They got a good upcoming young core waiting,
Well,
developing up there.
good because I
I
say this
know.
like every time we talk about the Stars forward core that Ben and Sagan, like to be fair, like they have no help, but
They really
like
did.
they're so streaky. They need like
No, they
someone to come
are.
in. Like they got Pavelski who's doing great, and
Pavs
they
was
got
awesome in the
Radulov.
playoffs. Radulov's
He's
perfect addition to that line. Then they got guys coming up
exactly. So
too.
now Gurianov
Hintz,
would just contribute
Dickinson,
to that.
yeah.
They need that.
That's exactly why they went on that run last year. They had
Kiviranta
top
if you
line
want to involve
scoring.
him.
Exactly. You got to have players that come out of nowhere. Kiviranta was that player. They had depth scoring. Their defense was phenomenal, and their Todopin was unreal. So great moves by Dallas. Hopefully they can keep up their success from last season. And we're moving on to a player that signed the exact same deal as Dennis Gurianov, Jake Virtanen. Same deal, 2 years, $2.55 million. What are your thoughts on this contract?
Honestly, like I don't know. Again, that takes him to RFA as well. He's 24 years old. Um, Actually, no, he's only 24. That's kind of a decent deal for someone his
No, he's got upside. He
his
does.
situation.
He can be a top six forward. Just he's streaky. In the playoffs last season, he was terrible. He scored like I think 3 points in
Yeah,
like 11, 12 games, something like that. And even towards the end of the season, he wasn't doing that great. But I think he score 20 goals last season? Or am I wrong?
he had 18.
18. So he was almost a 20 goal scorer last season. So he is improving. He's got to put it together over a full season though, and over 2 years he'll get the chance to do that. Especially with Toffoli falling out of that Canucks top six, him leaving in free agency. Maybe Virtanen can step up, grab that spot. So hopefully he can make a name for himself there, become the
Yeah,
player that he
honestly,
was drafted to be.
yeah, 6th overall. But I'm looking
Yeah,
at the numbers now. He has never had a season where he had more assists than goals. He's like given what he does, he's a considered goal scorer.
he
So
could be a 25, maybe 30 goal scorer. That might be pushing it, but probably a 20, 25 goal scorer, around 30, 35 points. Decent
this
player. Like, yeah,
this year he had a 1-to-1 ratio at 18 goals with 18 assists, 36 points in 69
that's
games.
it's not bad.
That could be better. Um, Honestly, this is probably his last chance in Vancouver. I feel like this 2-year deal. They're probably saying like, listen, we need this 6th overall pick production that we needed,
Exactly. Especially with the
or
market
else
like they
you're
have
not going to
there.
get
You
exactly,
got to
or else you're not going
perform.
to get a
You
lot of
got to
money,
perform or
or
you're
you're
out.
gone.
You're gone. And hey,
Exactly.
he's
Oh
on a
yeah,
cheap deal.
Vancouver. They probably fucking hate him, the fans.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
like, we got him 6th overall. Why is he not the next Ovechkin? This
I
is
can
ridiculous.
only imagine some of the players that they that got drafted after Virtanen. Just makes Canucks fans
Oh
not
god.
very happy.
To be fair, that's how it is with every team. I look at the
Mhm,
Rangers year. They drafted Dylan McIlrath, I think 10th overall. I think they missed
mhm.
Tarasenko. They missed
Oh
a bunch of
yeah, I know that. Tarasenko got drafted in the teens, I'm pretty sure.
16
It's like
or
same with Eric Carlson. He got drafted like 17th overall. Like that's
yeah.
insane.
It's crazy to me.
Incredible. Did we get everybody on the draft list? I think there's one more player. So the Leafs signed Travis Dermott to a 1-year, $874K. Phenomenal contract, honestly. You got Dermott to buy in, take a low cap hit, give him the chance to prove himself this season. I think it's a great deal.
Um, I don't know. Did we talk about this last podcast?
I don't know. We
We
recorded a
might
while
have.
ago. If we did, we're repeating ourselves again. So I'm sorry. If
But
not,
I'll just say the same thing that I said about whoever this was for. If it wasn't Dermot, um, it's a 1-year prove it and we'll give you the money deal. But it's also kind of that's pretty cheap for Dermot.
no, it is. Dermott's on the cusps of a top four defenseman, but he's not there yet. He's like on the borderline,
That's pretty much
especially
the
with
best way to
Toronto.
put it.
Especially with Toronto, I don't think he's going to get in the top four. Especially with them bringing in Brody. They've been talking about playing him on the right side for a while now, so I don't know what they end up doing there. Maybe he stays on the left, maybe he stays on the right, but he'll definitely be in the NHL lineup next season. So it's great signing, great low cap hit. I like it. So those are all the signings that we've talked about that have happened over the past couple days. So now we're gonna get into some kind of rumors a little bit that surfaced around Anthony Duclair. So whatever, maybe months ago, I don't know when this happened. So the Senators offered Anthony Duclair. Well, let me get the contract up again. They offered him 3 years at 4.25, and he rejected it. He wants a 5x5 deal. That was at the time. So maybe things have changed, but that's kind of interesting, right? Duclair rejects 4.25 over 3 years. I think that's more than he's worth.
That's a bit much, yeah. And he wants 5 over 5.
Like Mike Hoffman's not even gonna get that 5-year
Come on,
deal.
dude.
Mike Hoffman's not gonna get that. The best free agent available right now will not get that.
Like,
And
let's
Duclair's
be
not the best
realistic.
free agent available.
And
Continue.
no, absolutely not. In Ottawa, he's a what? He was probably a top 6 player, I'd feel like, right?
I'm pretty sure it was in the top line. Either top line or definitely top 6.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. And he put up 40 points in 66 games. So if you're going to be in a top 6 role, I don't care what team it is, like bottom of the standings, top of standings. If you're in the top 6, you should be getting some pretty decent numbers up. Those numbers are fine, given that it was Ottawa and they had a horrible year, but I don't think it's 5 over 5 worthy.
It's the goals he's banking on. He scored, what, was it 20 goals or was it 25 goals?
23.
23, right in the middle.
There's numbers in between 20
I thought it was one of the two, but 23 works. That's what I think he's banking on. He's got scored 23 goals last season in like under 70 games. So I'm worth but you have to look at it that he was a very streaky scorer. It was the same thing with Jeff Skinner 2 years ago. He scored 40 goals, yeah, but he was so streaky. He was a streaky goal scorer. Same thing with like a Tyler Toffoli, a player like that. He's a streaky goal scorer. That's what I kind of see in Anthony Duclair. Yeah, he'll get you 20, 25 over 82 games, but it's not going to be consistent. It's going to be 10 goals in 15 games and then no goals in like 10 games. Like that's how it's going to work with him. And if Ottawa's okay with paying him that, then yeah, that's fine. But a player like that, I don't think deserves 5x5, let alone 4.2 over 3, right? That's just
Has anyone else reached out to Duclair?
Maybe, but it hasn't, been like official big rumor, like, that like this team's interested. It's been like, oh, they've maybe called him, talked to him. It's just shit like that. Like it's nothing set in stone. It's just all rumors. But
realistically, only like I want to less than 10 teams easily. It's like, wait, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9 teams can afford him.
At that 5x5, that's the thing.
At 5x5,
who would offer him 5x5, especially with the way the market is right now? You can't afford. Because if you look at that, let's look at this. Tyler Johnson's making around 5. I don't think it's 5. Who would you rather have on your team? Tyler Johnson or Anthony Duclair? Honestly.
Well, it depends. Well, not really. Probably Tyler Johnson.
That's what I'm saying. He was put on waivers. And nobody claimed him.
That's fucking crazy to me, dude.
Nobody, you can't take that cap hit, especially for Duclair. He's a streaky goal scorer. He's at best 50 points, but the same thing with Johnson. At best, Johnson will score 50 points. Realistically, around 40, around there. Same thing with Duclair. I think they're pretty identical players, not the way the goals and everything is set. It's all different, but point production, I think they're pretty similar. Like you just saw, nobody wanted Johnson. Nobody's gonna want Duclair at that. And I thought, the thing is, he's representing himself. So maybe he did. Maybe
I'm pretty sure, right?
He didn't realize that. Maybe he was, bidding himself high. Maybe it's. I think that's come down now. Like he's had to have realized that nobody's gonna offer him 5x5. Oh my god, that's just. I don't know. I just found that outrageous. But
that's too high.
No, it is. But based off teams that could maybe want Duclair,
you said it. The way you said it is best. Like the market, you
can't. It's impossible.
All right.
Impossible.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, the only team he's more of Why am I blanking? He's center, right?
Who, Duclair?
Yeah, is he
No, he's a
strictly
winger.
center?
No, he's a
He's
winger.
winger.
Yep.
Okay. So pretty much any teams that need winger depth, um, I I I sincerely don't see anyone that can afford him taking him except for like at 5/5. Like
I
no,
think we gotta take 5/5 and throw it out. I think that's
Yeah.
done. I think the max Duclair gets is 3.5 to 4 on a 1-year deal. That is the max he gets. And a
Yeah.
team that would, I think, be down to do that is the Boston Bruins. So with Boston, Pasternak and Marchand, they're not going to start next season in the lineup. So those two very big open spots on that lineup. I know they have to sign DeBrus still. I think maybe someone else, but if they can make it work, I think Duclair would be a great fit in Boston's top 6.
Well, all right. Wait a minute.
Because they want to add like a Hoffman. I think Hoffman would be better personally than Duclair, but if Hoffman gets taken, maybe a secondary option, they slide in Duclair. So maybe something like that.
Yeah, they only got 6.6.
Oh yeah, they're gonna have to move money. And their defense, still, we talked about last podcast. Their defense is just a big question mark too right now. I honestly, like, I'm kind of throwing this out there, but I don't think it'd be shocking to see Boston miss the playoffs next season. I wouldn't. That would not surprise me. Honestly,
Strictly just because the defense, I feel like
defense and the injuries, man.
opinion,
like there's no way.
Yeah.
A
I feel
team
like
without
Pasternak and
Krug,
Marchand aren't going to be able to.
Pasternak, and Marchand to start the season, and Krug's not coming back. So those are 3 huge additions to that, 3 huge pieces to that team. Like those were 3 incredible pieces, and they're gone.
But they're the foundation.
Yeah.
They were easily
That's
the foundation.
not counting
except for
Bergeron. That's like, yeah, basically. And Tuukka Rask kind of being a question mark with he's been kind of up in the air. He's gonna play next season, but future, I don't know, who the hell knows after that. I don't know, man.
The only reason I see Boston making the playoffs at this point, assuming Pasternak and Marchand can't like rally it back, is Greg McKegg. Like honestly, I just think Greg McKegg's just gonna carry that team to the playoffs, maybe even the Stanley Cup.
We're looking at this line: Anthony Duclair, Patrice Bergeron, Greg McKegg. Holy shit!
Oh my!
Stop!
That's
incredible, incredible line we're putting together here. Don Sweeney, get the fuck out of here. Hire me and Eddie. We're the fucking GM of the Bruins now. Split duo. We'll make it work.
Yeah. No, he's had like Stanley Cup capable roster for years and years and years, but no,
can't win it.
Fuck him.
Fuck him, dude.
Let me and you.
Let's go. Give it to us. We'll win a cup. We promise, Boston. We'll bring you guys a cup. All right. So back to Duclair a little bit. Maybe the team that would maybe be interested, like a Nashville. They need top 6 help, and even you can't even rule out the possibility of him going back to Ottawa. Like that's
no, I can't.
You can't rule that out. I think that's honestly most likely at this point. Even though they just brought in Galchenyuk, I think if they do sign Corey Perry, I don't think Duclair is going to come back. I think you fill too many roster spots, I think, because they still got all these kids coming up. They got Formenton, Norris, Batherson, Logan Brown. Like they got a bunch of decent options coming up that you're going to want to have room for. So you can't just go get a bunch of NHL players, especially for Ottawa. Like they're not going to make the playoffs next season. They're just not. So there's no reason to, really. Honestly, the Corey Perry one, I'd rather have Duclair over Corey Perry because Duclair's got a ceiling. Corey Perry is on a decline. He has a
floor.
Here. Exactly. Corey Perry's about to smack the floor in like 3 years. He's done. He's almost there. But Duclair is drop my mic. Duclair is, still has some potential in him. Could be a 30-goal scorer. So that's kind of wraps up the little Duclair segment we had. And moving into the last segment on this podcast. So I don't know what it was a couple days ago. Craig Button, TSN, works for him, does the draft, stuff like that, released a list of his top 7 teams, Canadian teams going into next season. It's not like most improved. It's who he thinks is the best. So now we got that out of the way. To the list. Should I start from 7 or should I go from 1? 7, right?
Yeah, go 7 down to 1.
All right. So at number 7, he had the Ottawa Senators. Number 6, he had the Edmonton Oilers. Number 5, he had the Vancouver Canucks. Number 4, he had the Maple Leafs. Number 3, he had the Jets. Number 2, he had the Flames. Number 1, he had the Montreal Canadiens. So we got our own list. We're gonna share those soon. But do you want to just kind of like dissect his list first, and then we'll go into ours?
Um, yeah. Hold
All
on.
right.
I'm trying to find the list just so I could
Have it in
put it
front of
up.
you.
Yeah,
It's in our DMs by the way on Instagram. I don't know if that helps, but
that does help. All right. So number 7 is Ottawa. That's pretty
yeah, no,
indisputable. Like let's face it. Like
none of these teams are worse than Ottawa. So it's not a diss to Ottawa. Ottawa has improved significantly, but they're just not there yet. All 6 teams are just way better than Ottawa. No
exactly.
disrespect,
Yeah.
they have improved, but they just aren't there yet. But at number 6, he has the Oilers. Really? Really? Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl.
Yeah. What the
What?
fuck? That's
What?
pretty. That's pretty much a
What? And
reach,
they've
buddy.
added some great pieces too. They added Turris, they added Barry. Yeah, they didn't improve the goaltending, but I don't think that'll hold them back that much. I still think the team, they're not going to be worse than last year because they've improved since last year. So I don't know how they have them at 6. Honestly, I really don't.
Yeah.
Shocking, honestly. I think they should be top 3, personally. But let's move on from that. Vancouver at 5. I don't hate this. I really don't. Vancouver
I
would have been
was
higher if they could have kept some of their pieces.
I was thinking
They couldn't.
they
They
lost a
lost
core member for exactly each offense, defense, and
they
goaltending. They
lost the
lost,
top 10 goalie in the league.
and they didn't really get much back. They got Holtby,
And they
which
got the shadow of Braden Holtby. Is that what we call him? Is he even Braden Holtby anymore?
Shadow Holtby. Yeah,
Shadow Holtby. I don't know. Holtby hasn't just been himself the past, whatever, 12, 18, however many months. He just hasn't been what we know Braden Holtby to be. 2018 playoff Braden Holtby is what I think most people thought Braden Holtby was. But over the past 2 years, year and a half, whatever, he just hasn't played up to what he should be. So maybe he gets a fresh start in Vancouver. Maybe that helps him, but just the loss of Tanev, Markstrom, Toffoli, and Stetcher. It kills them. It depleted the roster. I don't know. I think they'll still be in playoff contention, obviously, but they're not a lock for the playoffs. They're most definitely not a lock. So, what do you think? Do you think Vancouver should have been? You think they're pretty well
no,
ranked,
I think
higher,
that's
lower?
fine. I think that's fine.
I
Maybe no higher. If someone wanted to make the argument that it could be lower, fine.
I agree. All right, and at number 4, Mr. Button had Toronto Maple Leafs, which I don't get. I really don't. They've been their roster as it is last season was a great roster, Stanley Cup contender, and they've just improved that roster. I don't get that. He has Winnipeg, Calgary, and
Okay,
Montreal above them. I think Toronto's better than all 3 of them right now.
I wouldn't say that, but
Austin Matthews, John
it's
Tavares, Mitch Marner, William Nylander. Come on, man. Morgan Riley, Frederick Anderson, they've improved. They're the flack with the Leafs. They weren't big enough. They were too small. They weren't physical enough. What they do, they went out and got Simmons. They went and got Thornton. They went and got Bogosian. They got big guys to just complement their already young star power. I think that the Leafs did great this offseason. I've said that before. I think they did a phenomenal job.
they did. No, I agree with that. Let's just end the stigma against the Maple Leafs for for the minute. I'm gonna go back to doing it in about 20 minutes, but Toronto's team, like their roster is genuinely like an insane roster. I understand that they fuck up in the playoffs like often.
Yeah, but they're a young team.
It's not gonna happen every time they make it.
It's
Let's
bound
be
to happen.
realistic. What? Yeah, once they find their footing, once they get out of the first round, I genuinely feel like people are gonna be like, "Oh, fuck, Toronto just."
If they get out of the first round, they're going deep. I'm telling you that for a fact. They are going deep if they
Yeah,
get out of the first round. At least to the conference finals. At least.
yeah, I could see that. I see Tavares hoisting a cup before the Islanders do. That's how soon I think Toronto could be winning a cup.
Yeah, are you kidding me? That would not surprise anyone. I think everyone agrees with you, honestly. The Islanders,
Everyone just doesn't want to
they're
see
not
it.
close. I don't think they're close. Based off their runs, they're not close, honestly. They're not there yet. We saw what Tampa did to them. They're not there. But back to that. Just I don't know how he had them at 4. Honestly, doesn't make sense to me. I don't see. Okay, let's move to number 3 now. Winnipeg. What about Winnipeg is better than the Leafs? I love the Jets, honestly, but come on, like the thing about the Jets, their star power is their offense and their goaltending, and the Leafs offense is better. The Jets goaltending's better, but the Leafs defense is better than the Jets defense. No question about it. And the Leafs forwards are better than the Jets forwards. You got the goalie, but how much are we weighing Connor Hellebuck here, Craig?
Yeah, for real. He just thought, all right, Connor Hellebuck pretty much just supersedes anyone on the Senators. He supersedes McDavid and Draisaitl. Fuck both of them. He's better than Pettersson and Besser.
Best player in the league.
He's better than Austin Matthews. He's the number.
But
no,
he's not. He's not the best. He's not the best. We'll get to the best. We'll get to the best in a little bit.
He's not the best. He's not the best.
Number 1, we'll find out who the best is. But just compare. Just looking at this list, comparing 3 and 4, the Jets and the Leafs. The Leafs are better than the Jets. They just are. They're better on paper. The Jets, like I said, their offense is pretty good, but the Leafs is better. Like the Jets have Scheifele, stay at his Stastny. Yeah, it's great. They got a decent top 6, but after that, they have nothing. Their depth is not great.
They have Connor Hellebuck. Oh
my God, I almost forgot. Okay, but they have Lord Savior, God amongst us, Connor Hellebuck, who's gonna single-handedly. They don't even have to ice a team. If they just have Connor Hellebuck in net, they're making the playoffs. They're better than the Leafs. Fuck it. Whatever. All right, moving on from that, I guess. Number 2 is the Calgary Flames. This one I don't hate. I don't. I think Calgary, they did really good in improving. Picked up a couple Canucks. Picked up Markstrom. Picked up Tanev. Picked up Levo too. Solid, honestly. I think Calgary did really good. They got Nikita Nesterov too from KHL. He's decent. He'll play in the top 6. I think Calgary's a playoff team next season. I think that's not really reaching saying that, so I don't have a problem with them being a 2.
I've been saying for a while. I think they're like a cup caliber team.
They just got to perform in the playoffs. They got to get Gaudreau, Monahan, Lindholm. They got to show up in the playoffs. That was their problem. They were phenomenal.
That's what I'm saying. If those guys show up,
in the regular season,
it's over. Johnny Gaudreau, if he wakes up, he honestly, I understand he's not the biggest, but he's gonna beat the fuck out of everyone.
Oh no, that kid's insane.
Metaphorically, of course. Mm-hmm. But he's gonna murder every team.
He has the potential. Gaudreau can be a 90-point player across 82 games. I know he can be that because he's done it before. He had 90, high 90s a couple seasons ago, and just he really hasn't been the same player since. That's the year they won the President's Trophy. Obviously, not the President's Trophy. They were number 2, I think. They won the Western Conference. But I don't have a problem. I think Calgary, they do better than they did last year, but I don't think they get to the Western Conference chance they were 2 years ago. I think that was a bit of a fluke.
Okay, wait. Here's my beef with regular season and playoffs. So you just said they were number 2 in President's Trophy, right?
I'm almost positive. They won the West. I can tell you that for
I know they won the West. Okay, and I'm pretty sure that was the year I want to say the Capitals maybe won it.
I think so. Wait, no, that was 2018. No, they didn't. I think Tampa might have won it. I don't know. Okay. Maybe the Preds, they weren't around there too. It was, I don't know. That's irrelevant. Continue.
Okay. So no, it can't be the Preds if the Flames won the West.
Yeah, you're
so
right.
My beef is, how are you going to tell me that a team that was second in President's Trophy and was in the same company as, if it was Tampa, a team that just won the Stanley Cup, or the Capitals, a team that recently, I think, or maybe that year won the Stanley Cup.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure they got swept by Colorado that same season.
They lost in 5.
Okay, they lost in 5 games. So how are you going to tell me that it's because they're not good? They're clearly capable.
And they won the first game in the series. I remember they won the first game, then lost 4 straight. They just got shelled by the Avs. And the Boston Bruins won the President's Trophy
Exactly.
that year. I just looked it up. So it
They
was the
had
Bruins.
no goalie at that time.
Yep.
They had their blue line is eh, some would say it's gotten worse. I would probably say that too, not
I'd
by a
say
lot.
it's gotten worse, but not by a
Not
lot.
by a lot though.
They lost a couple
Their
vets.
forward
That's the
core,
thing.
their forward core has I don't want
I
to say
don't think.
improved, but
I
they're
think it's gotten better. They haven't really lost anyone.
they've definitely matured,
No,
if that
yeah.
makes sense.
Kachuk's
So
getting older. They got pieces coming up. Like,
yeah, so my problem with everyone counting out Calgary is they're the same situation as the Leafs, in my opinion. Once they crack and figure out the problem, it's going to be a pretty dangerous team to deal with.
yep, I 100% agree. They just got to
Like,
figure
because
out how to
again,
put it all together.
it
That's what
was
they
in
have to figure out how to do. Just put it
exactly
all together.
they've been an elite company for years, and now they
Yeah.
just got the missing piece. I genuinely think Jacob Markstrom is probably the biggest pickup this offseason that no one's really thinking
You know
about.
what? Wouldn't surprise me if he just goes and wins the Vezina next season.
No, that wouldn't surprise
Wouldn't
me at all.
surprise me. Would not surprise me. He honestly, if Hellebuck didn't have the year he did, he could have been a nominee for the Vezina. He was that good for Vancouver, and that's why I think
Yeah.
Vancouver might take a step back. They get Holtby, they have Demko. Sure, Demko played great in a small sample size, but it's not Jacob Markstrom. And Calgary gets Jacob Markstrom, so I think Calgary's going to be great. I don't hate being that. I don't hate them being it too. Don't mind it. But one team I do hate the placement of is the Montreal Canadiens. So after they trade for Josh Anderson, Joel Edmondson, and sign Tyler Toffoli, and they acquired Jake Allen, that makes them the best Canadian team in the league after not even making the playoffs last season. They didn't make the playoffs, okay? They made the play-in. Like,
Yeah.
what?
So, all right. I'm obviously a giant Rangers fan, but my favorite Canadian team by far is Montreal. So I can tell you right now, they're not the best Canadian team. Not
They're
even
not.
close.
They're not even close. They're not there yet. In a couple of years, yeah, sure, they could be there. But, like, Craig, how much are we weighing Carey Price here, man? Come on, Craig.
The
Come
same
on.
thing with Hellebuck. He's better than McDavid. He's better than Besser. He's better than Pettersson. He's
Oh
better
my
than
God.
Hellebuck.
You
Apparently.
know what? You know what I just realized? He literally might have just ranked us by goalies. Carey Price, Jacob Markstrom, Connor Hellebuck. That could be a flip-flop. Anderson, Holtby, Koskinen, Murray. That's pretty I'd flip Koskinen and Murray, but that's pretty well ranked with the goalies, don't you think? Maybe he just said, "Fuck the players, dude. Let's just rank the goalies," because that's kind of what he seemed like he did here.
He low-key just made the list, forgot to type the word goalies into it, and then hit post. He was like, "Oh
Honestly.
shit, wait, whatever. It's already
whatever. It's already out. Whatever. Screw it. Leave people to talk about it. We are doing that. So, Montreal. They have improved. They've improved. Honestly, I'd say they've improved a lot. They really have. I like the Anderson pickup. I really do. He could be, I'd say, a 30-goal scorer with them eventually. Maybe not next season. Maybe a couple of years down the line he can. But the Edmonton pickup, that's an overpayment. I forgot the term, but it's a $3 million deal. That's rough, especially for Edmondson, who's once again like a borderline top 4 defender. Jake Allen, I think it's a good pickup. You need a good backup, especially with Carey Price not being able to play as many games as he used to be. Allen's a good pickup, but just those additions, they don't make Montreal the number 1 Canadian team.
Yeah, not to put him at number 1.
They don't.
He probably just based it on like recent success too. He was definitely like, oh, they beat the fucking why am I blanking here? Who'd
Pittsburgh.
they beat? Pittsburgh, yeah. They beat the Pittsburgh Penguins. Oh, like, oh my god, they're clearly like the best team in Canada. Oh my god, like that's not. No, I don't get it. I don't agree with it at all.
Neither do I. I really don't. It. I don't know, Craig. I don't know what you're thinking, man. I really don't.
I made my own list. If you'd like to hear it.
As did I. How about you read your list first? How about you talk about your whole list in entirety? Kind of go into detail why you ranked everyone there, and then I'll do the same for mine. So, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm gonna say this before I start because you might not. I'm pretty damn confident with my top 5, But
Confident in my top three.
so let's be real. Number 7 is clearly Ottawa.
Yep.
Anyone in the top 6, it's interchange. Like most of these are interchangeable based on
The
how
way
you describe it.
the way I
And
looked at it is one's one set, 2 and 3 are interchangeable, and 4 through 6 is interchangeable. That's the way I had it. That's the way I looked at it. So
okay, yeah. So all
go
right.
with your
So number
go ahead.
7 is Ottawa. Obviously, it's the Ottawa Senators. They've been at the bottom of their division, I think, right? For years.
No, Detroit.
Oh
Go about
yeah.
Detroit. Detroit's the bottom
Uh,
feeder. No, you're second to last, Ottawa. There
okay,
you go.
so that's some pretty elite
Small
company they're
victories.
with the Detroit Red Wings. Uh, their roster is just improving again, but let's face it, it's not better than any of the remaining rosters that are on the list.
Yep.
Number 6, where he had Edmonton. I actually I dropped this team like really hard on his list. I put Winnipeg at number 6 because their defense was genuinely very, very problematic. They didn't do much to improve it. They've Bufflin's done, like he's gone.
No, he's not playing again. He's retired. Pretty sure everyone
Their
knows
forward core, they got a pretty damn good top 6, but I think and their depth players they're not bad, but I think just lack of defense. Like their team hasn't been like the forward core can't carry the defense is what I'm saying.
I agree.
And Hellebuck can't carry that team either. Like on his back. Number 5. This is where I was confused. Like not confused. I was conflicted if I was going to interchange Winnipeg or Vancouver at number 5. That one I do agree with Mr. Craig. He puts Vancouver at number 5. They did have a good year and everything, but you have to realize they just lost a top piece in literally pretty much
every position.
Like I said, all aspects. They lost a top 6 winger,
top forward, top 4 defenseman, and starting goalie.
Exactly. So there
and
you
a top
go.
6 defender too. So like,
it sucks. Vancouver's pretty much like going back to what they were a few years ago.
I wouldn't say that. No.
No.
But
right,
they definitely they took a slight step back. We'll go with that.
If they miss the playoffs, I won't be
surprised. Wouldn't surprise me.
Number 4, where they originally had Toronto, I put Montreal. Because I think they were super overhyped just because they beat the Penguins.
Yep.
Their forward Kotkaniemi is a fucking beast.
Oh, he is. I love
and
Kotkaniemi.
He's getting better like really fast. No, like genuinely, like I remember when he was taken 3rd overall, I was like, "What?"
Everyone was like, "What?" It was the same thing like Dubois.
Now he's
and it might work out.
Yeah, he pretty much
worked out. Yeah.
He just spit in my face and said, "I'm fucking worth it, bitch."
Like when the Blue
like,
Jackets
okay,
didn't take Puljujarvi back in whatever, I think 2017 or 16, everyone was like, "What the fuck? What? Like what? They didn't take Puljujarvi? Look at it now. Look who's the better player now. It's not even a question who the better player now is. I just find that crazy. So you can get back to what you're saying though.
Anyways, so I still got Montreal at 4 because I always explain the importance behind having a good backup goaltender, but that doesn't make your team.
No, it doesn't. Number 1, especially.
It doesn't make you number 1 in Canada. Their defensive core, it's kind of young. It's probably the best way I could say it. And their forward core, they just lost Domi and they got Anderson, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. They lost that deal, like because Domi's better than Anderson
right now. Yes.
The only thing that I think is a safe haven is Toffoli coming on, but again, you can't put Montreal number 1 for that reason. That's a bit much.
Completely agree.
Number 3, he had Winnipeg. I put the Edmonton Oilers. Let's be realistic. If you have 2 Hart winners, like 2 separate years, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, where let's face it, the most valuable player in the NHL this year, who won the award this year, he's not even the most valuable player on his team. He's not the best player on this team.
He's second line center.
Exactly. It's that's kick it over that. So let's think about it. They got a little bit of a goaltending problem. and their defense, they just got Tyson Berry on a super good deal, and that's probably going to fill the hole
Love
for
that
I think
contract.
Clefbaum, right? Who's the injury?
He's probably out for the entire season.
Their forward core. I'm gonna take a huge swing here and say that Puljujärvi has a pretty decent year.
I'd bet on it.
Um,
He's gonna get every
and
shot
a
to play
name that
McDavid.
kind of, yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
So that I'm banking on that, and then another name that isn't really mentioned too often, which I don't really know why. Kailer Yamamoto looks really good.
Dude, that line was fantastic that they put together last season.
And
Fantastic.
Exactly. And now with Nuge and Kyle Turris on a super, super good deal, which honestly is also gonna kind of being underrated right now. That's why I think Edmonton being at number 6 is a travesty, and I think them being top 3 it's pretty inevitable.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, here's where me and you are probably gonna disagree, but I 100% understand your reasoning behind yours, and I hope I could explain my reasoning behind mine properly. At number 2, I put the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Okay.
You said it best. Their forward, like their entire depth chart it's just really it's good. Like
they have like 5 to 6
spade.
forward lines. If you look at that team, they have like 5-6 forward lines. It's incredible. The depth they have at forward. You continue. I'm not on mine yet.
I think their top 6 is it's lethal. And they just filled a huge hole in terms of they needed size. And now they got Wayne Simmons, big boy. They got Joe Thornton, big boy. And to be honest, I feel it's honestly a really healthy mix of youth because you got Matthews, you got Marner, you got Nylander, you got Kerfoot if you want to put him on that, and now you got some veteran leadership. You got Joe Thornton and you got Jason Spezza. Their defense just got TJ Brody, who in my opinion is super underrated as a defenseman. They just got Bogosian, again, another physical big body player. And they got Dermott, who's young, and Sandin. If he cracks that lineup, they're both probably going to be super contributing factors if they develop properly. Again, like I said, I understand why you'd probably want them top 1, but I have the Calgary Flames at number 1, who was originally labeled number 2. I have Calgary Flames at number 1 because I said it before, like you can't be a top caliber team and then all of a sudden you just suck because you just lose in the playoffs like for no fucking reason. Like I feel like the minute Kachuk's only 22, he's gonna get better with age.
Yeah,
he once Gaudreau and Monahan start doing Gaudreau and Monahan things in the playoffs, I feel like it's pretty much like they're gonna be an unstoppable force. Like because they never had a good goalie, they never had that backbone that they need. Now Jacob Markstrom's coming in, and he's not gonna fill that hole. He's gonna fucking.
Oh, he's going to get. He was the best option available for them.
He's gonna plunge right into that hole. He's gonna fill that bitch up. He's gonna overflow that hole. Their defense took a very, very minor downgrade. They did lose Brody, but now they get Kristanev, who I'm pretty sure like supermarkets had to start stocking up on pucks just based on how much he was buying them and eating them. My voice cracks and I sound stupid.
For breakfast. That guy,
he eats pucks for breakfast, lunch. I heard dinner, and sometimes
he'll
throw him. He'll throw him in there for a dessert. He doesn't care about the calorie count. He doesn't care about his diet. He goes,
"What a warrior!
You know what? I earned this puck, so I'm going to eat it." Honestly, their forward core, some players I really like that I think are going to start producing more and more. Elias Lindholm looked really good with the Flames when he first went there. He wasn't what I would say falling off, but he definitely he didn't really do as good as he did originally. He dropped like 20 points in production, I think, but again, Calgary just kind of does that sometimes. They kind of just like same shit they do in the playoffs. They just they lack luster, like they lack luster sometimes. Dylan Dubé, he's only 22 years old. I feel like he actually might be
Dubé was great. He was great in the third line. Yeah, no, he was fantastic in a good checking role.
Exactly.
Fantastic.
Yeah, he actually might be a huge factor that no one really realizes. if you want to go back to what I was saying before, how impactful a backup goaltender is when Markstrom can't play all the games. David Riddick's a great backup
Exactly.
goaltender.
Riddick's honestly, he could be a starter in the league. He really could. He's proved that he can be a starter at times, not over a full season, but I think at the deadline, maybe if Calgary's not doing too good, or even next season, they might move Riddick, even if he has a good season. Like I can see him playing like 920 hockey next season and going out and being a starter next season. So that wouldn't surprise me.
Right. And my final reasoning is because we already discussed their goaltending, their defense, and their top 6 forward core, and now they have Dominic Simon, Joachim Nordstrom. They just got Josh Levo.
Ooh,
Andrew Mangiapane's not terrible.
you good.
Derek Ryan, he's a pretty decent fourth liner. And then you have big bad bully Milan Lucic, who I think that entire bottom 6, I think it just upholds any weight put on by the top 6, and I genuinely think overall this team is a Stanley Cup team, so I have them at number 1.
I could get behind that. I really could. But I'm going to disagree with you. So I guess I'm just going to run through my list now. Ottawa, yeah, I have them at 7. We've talked about them like 4 or 7 times this podcast. No really reason to touch on them again. They're not with the other 6 teams. They're obviously a step behind. They're still in a rebuild, but they've been making forward progress. It's not a diss to Ottawa. They've really been improving as a team, but they're just not there yet. So actually where my list kind of starts is at number 6. I moved Mr. Button's number 1 all the way down to 6. And here's kind of why. So with Montreal, yeah, they move out Domi. They lose a top. Actually, Domi wasn't even playing top 2 with them, so it's honestly not even that big of a deal. They get a decent top 6 forward in Anderson. Just looking at their team, the offensive depth really isn't there. The defensive depth really isn't there. Behind Weber and Petrie. And even Romanov, we don't know what he's going to do yet. He's still a bit of a question mark. They had Allen, yeah.
That's what I was saying before.
Mm-hmm.
Their defense is like super young.
I don't understand why Craig Button put him at 1. Carey Price is phenomenal. He'll be phenomenal. I think Allen's a great addition. Goaltending is going to be awesome for them next year. But just based off all the way I kind of did this list is looking at the standings. Where would I see like each team like coming up? And like Ottawa, I see them at the bottom. Montreal, I kind of see them like in like 15 to like 20 area. Like that's kind of where I see Montreal, and that's kind of where I see the other 2 teams in this like from 4 to 6 area. So at 5, I'm actually going to agree with you. I did have Vancouver. I will agree with Mr. Button too. So
good job, Craig.
There you go, buddy. Just they've lost so much. Like they did a decent job picking up what they could. They lost Tanev, picked up Schmidt, lost Markstrom, picked up Holtby. Just, I don't know. It's just they're downgrading in positions that they need. They lost Stetcher too. They lost the top 6 forward. Maybe Virtanen fills in, but the team's weaker. The team is definitely weaker from than it was of last season. And this team, like, Vegas killed them. Like, they destroyed them. They were so lucky that Demko went in there and played the way he did. They were done in Game 5. So it was a good story from Vancouver. I think they might sneak into a playoff spot, but it's going to be a bit of a drop back here, honestly. A couple of years, it could get back up there with progression from Pedersen, Besser, all those young guys. But right now, I just can't see them being better than some other teams on this list. And at 4, I have the Winnipeg Jets. I like their forward core. I like Hellebuck. Hellebuck's a great goalie. Just the only question mark with them is their defense. It's not the where it should be. They got Morrissey. They got Pionk. They've been rumored to trade Niku, which I really don't understand. Like, I feel like he's a decent defender for them. He could play top 6, maybe top 4 if the situation's right. They got DeMello. They brought him back. They got a couple other guys. They got Hiniola. He could step into an NHL role this season, but it's a relatively unproven blue line. So you really just can't take a chance on that. I see Winnipeg, same thing with Vancouver, Montreal, being in that 15, maybe 14, 13 to 20 range. I don't think they get above that. I don't think they go below that. So breaking into my top 3 now, I'm going to agree with you again. I have the Edmonton Oilers. I really like what Edmonton did. I love the Barry contract. I really do. With Clefbaum out, it's just a huge open spot in that number 1 unit that really no one could step in and fill. Maybe like an Ethan Bear, but like he really isn't there as like a player. You really can't play him on the power play unit with McDavid, Draisaitl, Nuge, all those guys and expect him to perform. He's going to be a little shaky out there. But a guy like Barry, he's done it before. He's played number one unit with Colorado. He had a bit of a down year in Toronto. Start of the year was kind of bad with Babcock, but with Keefe, he kind of figured it out towards the end. So I think Barry's going to go in there. He's going to be motivated. He's going to have a career year in Toronto and Edmonton. He really is. He's really going to find his game there.
I can 100% see that.
Mm-hmm. He could
100%
be maybe a dark horse for the Norris because he's going to be playing 23, maybe 24, maybe 22 minutes a night. They got Nurse. He's decent. They got a bunch of guys, Proberg, Bouchard, a bunch of guys that could step up, and their forward core. You can't say it enough. McDavid, Draisaitl. It's fantastic. The top six is awesome. Yamamoto. Pugliarvi is going to come in there, be a decent piece. They improve the depth. Kyle Turris is decent. He's a
huge
great
Yamamoto guy.
Yeah. If Turris can be anything that he like, any shape that he was in Ottawa, he'll be fantastic in that third line center spot. Decent power play unit number 2 guy. I really like what Edmonton's done. A couple of depth pieces here and there, but they've done a good job this offseason for the most part. And here is where I'm going to disagree with you. So at number 2, I have the Flames. It's no disrespect for the Flames. I love what they've done. Like you said, Markstrom's great. Tanev's great. Everything they've done, the up-and-coming core. Dubé is going to be really good. They got Valimaki on the blue line. Yeah, the blue line does take a bit of a hit. They lose Hamonic. They lose Brody. Those are some decent veteran options that played in the top 4 at times for them. But they bring in Nestorov. He's a bit of a wild card. He came in, he was in the league a couple years ago, went over to the KHL, kind of found his game. Now he's taking a shot back in the NHL. Maybe he pushes for a top 4 spot. I find that unlikely, but they still got Giordano. Hannafin's, he's still got potential. He still has decent high ceiling. I like Calgary's team. I think the Leafs are better than them. I do. Just Austin Matthews, John Tavares, Mitch Marner, William Nylander, that firepower up front. They finally add some decent. They finally work on the blue line. They pick up Brody from the Flames. Brody played with Giordano the year he won the Norris. So it just kind of shows Brody can play with a great defensive partner and kind of hold suit while Giordano does most of the offense. It could be a great pairing with Morgan Riley. Brody and Riley would be a decent pairing. Brody kind of stays back, plays more defensive game. Riley goes out there, gets a bunch of points. And Brody's no slouch offensively himself. He's put up a couple 40-point seasons too.
Yeah, no.
So they got Anderson in net. They brought in Dell. They have Campbell still. So they have a great 3 goalies there. And the forward depth. They, like I said before, they can roll 6 forward lines. It's crazy the depth they have in Toronto. They bring in Simmons. They needed to get bigger. Brought in Simmons, Thornton, Bogosian. They'll play at times. So, I think I'll list that they're pretty similar in ways. We have same top 2, thirds the same, 5 same, and we switched 4 and 6. So it's pretty close, a lot better than Mr. Button's list. I don't really know what he was thinking here.
Yeah. To be fair, you can't really please everyone, though, because
you can't.
Assuming we get more than 5 views on this podcast, say one of them is a Montreal Canadiens fan, they're gonna rip our throats out if it's a fucking.
But then again, if you're a Canadiens fan, you can't think they're the best Canadian team, right? Do Canadiens fans really think that? Like, would I be surprised?
To be fair, I think the Rangers are the best New York team.
I know, but that's New York. There's 3 teams they're competing against, and one's dog shit.
Exactly.
But the Canadian teams, there's Toronto. Like, come on. Like,
Canada's kind of stacked now. I mean, if you think, the best teams in Canada are stacked.
Okay.
Like
4 years ago, Canada was in a bit of a deep spot. Like, no one was really good. Ottawa was probably one of the better teams, honestly. They went on that run in 2017. Montreal was terrible. Vancouver was terrible. Winnipeg was Edmonton was terrible. Calgary was, I think, Toronto was terrible. Like, it's crazy how the teams in Canada have really turned themselves around, and they've done good work. And I think most of them have improved this offseason, let alone probably being Vancouver.
You want to hear a bold prediction?
Let me hear it.
Within the next 3 to 7 years, like it's a big window, but within the next 3 to 7 years, a Canadian team is going to win the Stanley Cup, and it's going to be either Calgary or Toronto. For the first time since 1993.
But I'm going to throw Edmonton into that list. I think they
I'm sorry. Yeah, I forgot Edmonton. Edmonton could also be in there,
if
assuming
they
they make
if
the
they
correct
get a
moves.
goalie, man, if they could have got Markstrom, we'd be saying the same thing about Edmonton. We'd be saying about Calgary. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Because it'd be basically what Edmonton was when we went to the second round. Because Talbot was a fantastic goalie that year. So you got to think they'd definitely be a playoff team, maybe second, third round, because they were that close to going to the second round. Remember that choke they had against Anaheim? They allowed I think 3 with an empty net or some shit like that. It was
Yeah.
like
I'm still pissed about that because I remember watching that game. I'm almost positive it was Ryan Kessler,
probably.
he held Talbot's pad, so he
I do remember that. That was with a couple seconds
had
left,
no
right? It was
idea
20 seconds
how in the
left or some shit.
hell that.
Playoff
Yeah, I have
hockey.
no idea
Whistles
how
are
in the
away,
hell that
baby.
didn't get overturned.
Whistles are away. It's playoff
It's
hockey.
ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
No, it is. And on that note, I think we're all about ready to wrap this one up here.
Hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast. Make sure to go check out our other podcasts and stay tuned for daily Chuckin Muffins hockey content. And have a happy and safe Halloween.
That is correct. Exactly what Eddie said. Just before you guys go out, don't be afraid to leave a comment, leave a like on the video, subscribe, turn bell notifications on. We upload hockey videos almost every day. I do try. We're busy. We're doing our best, but just
College students.
yeah, very we try hard in college. We really do. We do our work every night, but we've been kind of uploading podcasts kind of here and there. We're kind of going to drop back to one podcast a week. I'm going to put out clips whenever we can. So it might not be daily hockey content. So that might be a lie, but every other day, daily content at most.
All right.
So that note, wrapping this one up. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching.